call this meeting to order. First item up on our agenda is to approve our agenda with any additions or deletions. Does anybody have any additions or deletions? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to our consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to our financial report with Mr. Ray.
Everybody should have in their board packets the February financial statements. I'll just point out on page 2 of the general purpose school fund, at the bottom of the second column, which is our actual numbers, we have a surplus of $887,000. Now, don't get excited. The reason for that is our property tax collections are really heavy in basically January, February, March, a little bit in April. So we get a huge influx of revenue in that short period of time, and that bumps up our bottom line as of February. And that revenue stream will soon approach zero very quickly, and then we will work our way back to break even or a smaller surplus. I didn't want you to think we're in the $800,000 surplus range. Revenues, other revenues and expenditures are as budgeted in all material specs. Federal projects, we are $212,000 deficit. That means we're behind getting our reimbursements. We spend about $120,000 a month, so we are almost about 2 months in arrears. I like it to be more like a month and a half, so we'll continue to work on getting our money quickly from the government, because I want to hold it rather than them. And then the school nutrition program, cafeteria fund. We have this statement is just a cash flow statement. I don't recognize revenue. I don't accrue any revenue or payables. It's when we pay it. And we're at a $24,000 surplus. Generally speaking, our largest expenditure is for the Food Service Management Company, and our largest revenue is the claims from the USDA for meal reimbursements plus student payments, and those two numbers are very close every month. Obviously, revenues are slightly higher than the expense, and thus we build our fund balance with that. So I do expect our fund balance to be closer to $50,000 at year end for the school nutrition program, if we don't have any major equipment issues. So with that, any questions on the financial statements for February?
Any questions for Mr. Ray? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve our February financial report as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments for Mr. Ray? Hearing none, Kim, could we have a roll call vote, please?
KK Meredith.
Yes.
Lori Wilson.
Yes.
Tim Bible.
Yes.
Merle Price.
Yes.
Joey Smith.
Yes.
Curtis Isbell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to budget amendment number 6.
Budget amendment number 6 is the meat of the budget amendment is a $3,000 grant from the Anderson County Education Foundation. And that is, usually that's handled at the school level with the teachers, but this particular grant's being managed by Jamie Jordan, as far as I know. And then the rest of the budget amendment is a reclassification of expenditures to account for we have a retiree, and that retiree has a vacation balance, not a large vacation balance, and upon retirement, we pay that out. It's not subject to TCRS, just simple payout of their vacation at their daily rate. And
The
that's-
Education Foundation grant was one of the health and wellness grants from the proceeds from the Clinton 5K, but each one of the schools it's called 9 Square. And so it's kind of like a 4 square concept, mixed with volleyball. And so it's a net where you stand inside a square and you're volleying the ball, kind of like a foursquare, but the ball's not touching the ground. But anyway, it's a really, really neat game that is also accessible for students with disabilities and in wheelchairs. And so we are super, super excited that now each one of the schools has that for their PE program. So there may be some Blaze 9 square coming down the pike.
Oh, awesome.
Any further questions or comments for Mr. Ray? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve budget amendment number 6.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, Kim, could we have a roll call vote, please?
KK Meredith.
Yes.
Lori Wilson.
Yes.
Tim Bople.
Yes.
Merle Price.
Yes.
Joey Smith.
Yes.
Curtis Isbell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to new business, our 2024-25 salary schedule for first and second reading.
Yes, so your salary schedules are attached. In a nutshell, we are issuing the same, as you know, we don't give a percentage raise. We do a exact amount on each one of the levels, so all of our employees get the same raise. And then as they move up the levels on the salary schedule, that rewards them for their experience and time with us in Clinton City Schools. So certified teachers will be getting a $2,200 raise, including that is being placed on each one of the levels. So they will get that in addition to their step increase for their experience. And then teaching assistants will be $1,000 placed on each one of the levels, including or plus the step increase that they get. So where that came out, it's really hard to lock down on a percentage because everybody, depending on where you are, is going to be different. So Scott always has us report the median percentage. So the median percentage raise is going to be about 3.9% this year. So we're making good headway. And the exciting thing, I don't know if you all have seen that Knox County has been touting that now if you have a master's degree, you're now going to start out over $50,000, and that's been on the news, and they've been touting that. Well, in Clinton City Schools now, with a bachelor's degree, you're going to start out with us above $50,000. And so I think that is Governor Lee's vision for every teacher down the road in 3 to 4 years, but we are already there, and we do remain one of the top school systems for entry level paying our teachers. And then what we see is once our teachers come to us, they stay with us, and that is our goal, is we want to keep teachers for their 30-year long career. And so I think that, you know, due to your all support, we have made some major headway towards teacher salaries. It's very, very well deserved, and so we will continue to chop away at it. But as Scott said, steady wins the race. And so you see a lot of districts will give like a great big raise, or get great big raise, and then they won't give a raise for 3 or 4 years. So what we've always tried to do is give a little bit and kind of chip away at the block and recognize something every year, and I think that has served us well. So we bring this to you for your approval.
All right. Any further questions or comments for Kelly? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve on first and second reading the 2024-25 salary schedule.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Kim, could we have a roll call vote, please?
KK Meredith.
Yes.
Lori Wilson.
Yes.
Tim Bople.
Yes.
Merle Price.
Yes.
Joey Smith.
Yes.
Curtis Isbell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to our 2024 budget on our first reading.
I would like to tell you that it's really exciting, but there again, our budget is fairly consistent from year to year. We remain in good financial shape thanks to Scott Ray's conservative fiscal philosophy. But basically, we just looked at our salaries. He's laid in the salary schedule with the teacher raises onto the salary. We did have to, as you know, ESSER funds have expired this summer. With the ESSER funds, we did hire we hired 2 certified intervention teachers. We hired an additional guidance counselor, and we paid for some existing positions out of that. We have seen such significant benefits from our certified interventionists. And with the additional full-time guidance counselor at North Clinton, that has just been an amazing addition that we desperately need to keep. And so we have rolled all of those ESSER positions with the exception of our all-core tutors, which we're waiting to hear if that grant is renewed or not. But we are going to make an effort to try to maintain these positions if at all possible, because we really, I mean, we had great test scores last year. We're seeing the benefits of these certified intervention teachers, and we all know that we need more mental health supports. And so, so I think our budget will be a little tighter this year than what we are used to, or next year from what we are used to it being, just because of the loss of the ESSER federal funds, but we still feel confident that we will be in good shape. Scott, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
No, I guess I didn't budget capital expenditures that, for the auditorium, the playground at Clinton, some things that we know are kind of in the pike, because those numbers are hard to estimate at this point, and they may span more than 1 year. So, when we solidify those, we'll bring them forth as a budget amendment. Just don't worry that they're not in the budget, they're in my budget. And then, federal projects, it's really hard to hit that target so early. But like Kelly indicated, we lose the ESSER grant and, some smaller grants that were just 1-year grants, I think, but for the most part, we're kind of back to, say,
Pre-COVID
pre-COVID kind of like
federal funding,
grants. And then the school nutrition program, the budget is, it's kind of silly, like, we have a fixed fee for every meal. There's, you know, if we sell more meals, our fee will go up, but our revenue goes up right along with it. So we've got a really good structure there. Not exciting, but when it's a budget, it's good to be boring.
All right. Does anyone have any further questions for Kelly or Scott regarding our 2024-25 budget? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve our 2024-25 budget on first reading.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, Kim, can we have a roll call vote, please?
KK Meredith.
Yes.
Lori Wilson.
Yes.
Tim Bible.
Yes.
Merle Price.
Yes.
Joey Smith.
Yes.
Curtis Isbell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to memorandum of understanding between Tennessee College of Applied Technology, Knoxville, and Clinton City Schools.
Which sounds like a very odd memorandum of understanding, but we actually were approached. This is a collaboration between TCAT, Anderson County Chamber of Commerce, and then Anderson County Schools and Clinton City Schools. And actually, the president of the chamber, Rick Meredith, was the one who brought this to my attention, but TCAT has applied for a grant that's called the Give 3 grant, which I had never heard of, so that caused me to do some investigation and some conversations with TCAT. But basically, this is a state grant, and it's a significant state grant that is given to TCATs, and then they work with K through 12 schools on work-based learning and internships and externships and just career exploration. Well, with the Give 3, they are taking this down, which is super exciting, into the elementary level, to where for K through 6, we would partner with them and they would provide a lot of career exploration opportunities for our kids. And so they have some career awareness programs, like they have a Tammy and Tommy TCAT career camp that they would be able to put on for our children, which kind of reminds me of like what we do with BizTown with our kids. It could be a summer camp where they could go learn about some of the TCAT trades. They do Remake Learning Day events. They provide lab in a box. And so they can also arrange for campus tours. If you remember back in our pre-COVID days, our 6th graders would do the industry tours and the Dream It, Do It. And then we had to back off some of that to try to offset some of the learning loss. So this grant will actually, it is my understanding, provide us dedicated person that will kind of work through the chamber that will then work with us to provide some of these additional learning opportunities at no cost to Clinton City Schools. So all we have to do is sign the memorandum of understanding, which will be something that I will sign if you give me permission to sign. So this is just coming for your approval today, and a copy of the MOU is in your board packet. But no cost to us.
Any further questions or comments regarding the memorandum of understanding? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further comments or discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to discuss our 401 Beach Street.
Yes. So we're happy if you did not get a chance. Miss Ollis is with us today, and she actually, herself and her children all went through North Clinton. She knows Merle very, very well, as Merle's helped raise her babies. But it came to our attention a few weeks ago that if you're looking at North Clinton, the property to the left, if you're looking at the digital sign, the blue house and the property to the left belongs to her. And back in like 1994, 1996, there was a first right of refusal that was agreed upon between the homeowners and the city of Clinton, and it actually is in city council minutes. And so their realtor reached out to Roger Hauk about this first right of refusal. Basically, we need to determine whether we want to purchase the land or if we want to allow it to go on the market. And so this prompted a pretty robust conversation. So we have toured the house, and if you look at the house, I think at one point in time, we purchased, Merle, a portion of the back of the house.
On the side.
On the side,
That's
okay.
where our parking lot extended, and the fence is right at the end of that property. But he had a garden, great big old garden. And we bought just that, enough to have more parking. And that
Okay.
helped us a whole lot.
Yep. So, been good partners, been good friends to North Clinton Elementary for many, many years. The way that this works is that we need to vote tonight, either yes, we want to pursue purchasing the property, no, we do not. When looking at the property, that is the remaining piece of land that is adjacent to North Clinton Elementary School that will be available. When you look at the surrounding, there's not really residential houses, it's more of your government housing. And so this is kind of the last piece of adjacent land to North Clinton Elementary. And so I know that you all have done a lot of thought behind, is there immediate need for that today? I'm going to be honest with you and say no. There's not an immediate need for us to go in and tear down a house and build anything on it at this point, but it is available. And Lori Wilson did remind me that many, many years ago, the city had the opportunity, the county had the opportunity to buy Willow Run and turned it down. And then many years later, now Clinton High School is in a kind of a pickle because they're landlocked and don't have the need to expand where they need to expand. And back in the day, you never would have thought that would have been needed. But then, 30, 40 years later, the need is there. So we try to be fiscally responsible, and I've told you all that I do not have strong feelings one way or the other. Part of me says that this is the last piece of land available, and we need to be good stewards to future generations, and North Clinton has served the community very, very well and will continue to serve the community. And then part of me, wants to be fiscally responsible, and just be careful and hold on to our money too. So there's both sides. There's both sides to the story that I know that you all have given lots of thought over the past few weeks. This is not an easy decision. But I did consult and have spent a lot of time with Chris McCarty, our school board attorney, and kind of working through the way this process legally needs to play out, and was on the phone with him extensively today. And so what we need to put on the table for discussion is if we want to purchase the property for $290,000, the $290,001 is what we need to talk about today. It would be a cash purchase. We would not be requesting any inspections. We wouldn't be requesting an appraisal, and it would be a cash purchase. So that is what I am bringing for you all to discuss and to vote on today.
Okay.
Any further questions, comments, anything anyone would like to add?
I'd like your opinion, Scott Ray, financial man.
Keep in mind, he takes shampoo from hotels.
Well,
Well-
I'm conservative too. I'm very conservative. I worry about taxes and future care, property and taking care of the house.
I mean, in my opinion, there's arguments on both sides of this.
Right.
You know, hindsight's always 20/20. You know, if we were to purchase it 20 or 30 years down the road, the board comes to the decision that, yeah, we're not gonna need it, we could sell it. Now, we're not, you know, but we'd have to either maintain the house or tear it down. I don't think we need to be landlords necessarily. So we're gonna have more area to mow, so there is some responsibility on our end. That would be, to me, like the worst case scenario. Like, we buy it, we don't use it, we sell it, get our money back. But then in the interim, you have either a house to tear down, and that comes at a cost. Tearing that house down would be about $25,000.
Now, I will say that our attorney did not suggest tearing it down. Our attorney,
There is the option to
To
rent.
rent.
correct, yeah,
Yes.
Chris
Yeah, I mean,
McCarty did say, and he did not suggest tearing it down and just letting the land sit there. He suggested,
Yes.
he said, obviously, we don't have time to manage a property, but he did say that he would suggest, and he has seen Sevier County Schools did this with, it was actually a trailer park, that they knew they needed the land 8 to 10 years down the road, but didn't need it now. Well, there's no reason to just let that sit when it can provide a house and wonderful memories for someone. And so they went through a property rental, is that what you call that?
Property management, yeah.
Property management company, and let the property management company just oversee everything. And of course, they take a cut of the rent, but then you're still recouping some of your money, and you're allowing that house to be used and contribute to the community until the need arises. But it's not that we are managing the property, we're paying someone to do that, and then that comes out of the rent each month. And so Chris McCarty suggested that that is what we do, and allow the house to be livable and be a part of the community until a need does present itself. And then that's a way to provide housing for people, but also to help us recoup some of the money that we have put into it. So that was his suggestion.
I mean, I'm not a fan of being a landlord, even if we hire a company to manage the rents, but we're still gonna get the repairs and maintenance. We're gonna have to deal with the yard, unless it's part of the tenant agreement. They, you know, there's certain things that are gonna come upon us to handle, you know, replacing the roof, HVAC units, big things, you know. So, I think that's kind of budget neutral. I think whatever rents might cover some of that. So, I'm on the fence. I almost feel like North Clinton does it, and we talk about growth, but just the area and the community and the streets, you know, at what point do you, if we're experiencing that much growth, do we just build a new school somewhere else? I don't know where that,
Where,
you know.
where though?
Exactly, I mean, I
In
don't
the
know.
city limits.
But then the
where?
growth of that community is fixed. I mean, there's infrastructure in place that just can't manage anymore. I mean, we already can manage, you know, 20 or 30 more students. That's fine. We can handle that with what we have. But if we're talking growth of, you know, 200 kids, I mean, to add on to that school, I don't think the community can handle the roads and the infrastructure. So, still on the fence.
Well,
Yeah, you want an answer?
I will tell you that one thing that we did, that I've tried to think of all sides of this. Clinton Elementary's at capacity. we cannot, and we've been told by the architects, we cannot build on to Clinton Elementary without like having to build another cafeteria, and so we're at capacity at Clinton. And so when you look at any growth that does happen or any future annexations that happen, it's gonna have to be absorbed at North and South. Now, do we currently have the room to do that? We do. And right now, we would be fine. And so that's the magical question, is at some point, you know, is North Clinton going to grow to the point that we need an addition? I don't think any of us can really answer that question. But if we do, would that piece of land be prime for us to need? And so there's just a lot of what ifs
Well,
there.
and what about just an expansion for a larger gym or
Parking.
parking?
Now, we are in
It's not needed
conversations.
At North right now.
Right now,
We're
it's
talking
not.
about
Later.
Later, yes.
Yeah, later. Now, we are in conversations with Boys and Girls Club, as you know, about adding the annex building for Boys and Girls Club pre-K, and then also for us to use for intervention groups and things during the day. Bart has actually applied for $1 million federal grant that he is very hopeful that he will get. We won't know until the fall, but if that $1 million grant does come through, then I think you would see us move forward with some discussions about that Boys and Girls Club annex. And so Scott did meet with Aaron and Aaron McCarty with MHM this week to kind of, if we did an annex or some sort of thing with that grant money, where would it go? What would it look like? How would we connect it to the building? Those kinds of things. And so there is plans in place if this grant comes through where we might do something of that nature.
I think the one thing that I look at is the first right of refusal, which was initiated in 94, 96. It's been 30 years since the opportunity to acquire this area has even arisen. And so my concern would be, you know, with where will we be 30 years from now? We will have lost that option. And at the same time, if we do need to expand at that time, then it's going to be the city coming in and forcibly taking property, which is not going to be good at all, in order for us to be able to build or something like that in the future. And so my concern is if we don't act upon it now, where will we be 30 years from now? Because it's taken 30 years before we have this option to even be available.
And I understand what you're saying about the budget and all the things, but in my opinion, being in lending and real estate in my career, you're just basically moving money from the bank into a piece of real estate. You're not losing the money, you have the ability to recoup it if you sell. Because
Well-
historically speaking, real estate doesn't.
Pending market
go-
conditions.
Yeah, pending market conditions, but.
The value of that property to the school board is not the house.
Right.
It's the land.
Right.
The value to sell that property will diminish when that house is gone. That house will go if we do the building for the Boys and Girls Club, because we're gonna have to reroute.
Right. If we use it, I'm saying if we don't, like if we rented it, for example, and then we saw that there was no need for expansion and we needed the money and needed to sell the house, then you're gonna recoup the money that was spent. You know, if, historically speaking, if you look at the value of real estate over the past 50 years, it's way different.
I don't know, I feel like somebody wants a yes or no answer from me, and she's getting mad at me because I'm not giving it to her. I gotta see
You
her
should
on
take that as
Sunday.
respect, though. People respect your opinion, so.
Because the house will
Well,
be there
you know,
until the
Ms.
need
Salas
arises to use
also
the land.
said, you know, she'd like to see the house stay, and I understand that. So what we're looking at is it would stay.
Mhm.
And I think Kelly put it well, and she said I'd probably be gone before we'd have to knock it down. So, you know, eventually, if it became school property, it would have to be demolished. But we're not in the area now, so.
That would not be our
No.
original
No, the
intent,
house
I wouldn't
would
think.
stay.
Right, and we do have the option to rent it out as well, which I think would be a wise idea if we do obtain that
I think so,
property,
too.
in my opinion only.
Sorry, I know I may be beating this dead horse. If we pursue the Boys and Girls Club building,
The house will be tomorrow.
it has to go, because we're gonna have to reroute some for safety.
Well, then if you're
traffic.
saying that, you're saying we need the property.
If that, to do that,
I mean-
at that location, yeah, but then there's, if we're doing that building, then we'd need the property and the house would go. If we're doing an addition to to North Clinton, you don't need the property, you can just add on to the building.
And-
We'd still need the parking, and the parking would come from where that building, that we're not building anymore, would come.
And all that's dependent upon a $1 million grant that we do not even know we have yet.
Correct.
I mean,
So-
I don't want anybody to say that we, or I said, we're not tearing down the house in the next couple of years. Well, that could happen.
Well,
I don't think we can, I think we can say that our intention is at this time until the need arises, we wouldn't just tear it down to tear it down.
No.
But if the need arises to where we needed the land, obviously, we would
'Cause
have to
we-
tear it down.
Right now, the need would not be for the land, the need would be for right where their garage is, a new drive going around to the new building and have safe drop off and pick up. Because at North Clinton, they're coming up over that hill. And you got kids, and that's where they're coming in, and then going up the hill, there's a blind spot too. So it's kind of that, if we're gonna do something, we're gonna solve that problem too.
I have a question. So if we get the $1 million grant, let's just hypothetically we get it, would we have it without the house? Would we have anywhere to put it?
Yes.
Okay. But then that
We
would
would
take away any
struggle,
opportunity to expand Clinton Elementary at that point.
To north, no, we can
Or
expand
not
north.
Clinton, but North
We
Clinton.
can expand north.
Even with the Boys and Girls Club?
In that, it would be tight with parking. Right now, we're tight with parking. We got 2 cars that park on the grass. Just because the number of adults we have in the building, I mean, we
North
would
Clinton
have-
enrollment is just real interesting. We're trying to watch it. And Merle would probably have more of a historical thing of this, but, we've seen where kindergarten and first grade, we've had 2 kindergartens for, 4 years now? And then we had to move to 2 first grades. Now it's looking like, obviously, we're going to have 2 second grades next year. And it's looking, we're still kindergarten, and I haven't hired the position yet because I don't know what kindergarten numbers are going to look like. So I don't know if we can move that second kindergarten, because it ebbs and flows. Merle will tell you. So we're kind of watching kindergarten numbers to see if we need 2. But there's a good chance that we'll have 2 K through 2. But then for whatever reason, which I don't have an answer for, once they get to 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the numbers seem to drop
My
off.
philosophy on that, having been there for many years, was you have a lot of young families that are renting, and they're looking for a house. And so about 3rd grade, 4th, they're finding a house.
Sense.
And so we lose students because they've been waiting to be able to get that house.
That makes
That makes
sense.
a lot of sense.
We run them off 3rd, 4th. But they do diminish, and you never know.
You don't ever know. And
Yeah.
there was one time, if you remember, that we had 2 first grade teachers because our numbers were so high, and then fall came. And our numbers had almost dropped by half, so that particular community is super difficult to try to predict, because what the numbers look like one day, 2 months later, don't look that way.
Well, there's a large influx of people coming into the Knoxville area, and what typically will happen is you'll see those kind of spread out to the outlying areas eventually, because people get sick of the traffic and the crowds and so forth. So we could be looking at a pretty sizable population growth. in the
Well, I'll tell
next-
you, North Clinton houses are highly sought after now. You're seeing a lot of, when you look at the real estate and the renovation of the homes, and,
The
really,
comps.
it's,
Yeah.
lots of good things are happening in that community.
Question you don't probably know the answer to, but Clinton Elementary is as big as it can get, right? Just 560 kids. Is that any?
Roughly, fluctuates, but yes.
So right now with the buildings we've got at North and South, what's our maximum student capacity today?
we still have quite a bit of growth that can happen at South, particularly. At South, we look and our class sizes are lower, so we've got the ability to grow quite a bit with South without even increasing staff members and classes, because South, a lot of the grade levels will hover right, like you've got 32 kids in a class, so you can't have one teacher, but you've got a lot of growing room for two teachers, but you can't have one teacher. So at South, I feel very comfortable that we have got quite a bit of growing room.
And the cafeteria will support that growth as well.
I think
At
so.
South?
Yeah,
Yes.
at South, yes. At North, I do think the pre-K, if we can get the pre-K, we can get the annex of Boys and Girls Club and get that grant and get pre-K into that annex, that would open up 2 complete classrooms that could be used. Right now, every single classroom is being used at North. We have no empty classrooms, but keep in mind, we're also now with response to intervention, we're doing so many small group interventions. Some of our classrooms are just, filled with 2 and 3 TAs that are doing interventions in there. So we could get a little creative with North if we had to. But if the annex comes to fruition, that certainly would help address and give us more growing room at North.
And then if you grew, at North, if you grew too much, you're gonna approach your limit
With the
for the
cafeteria.
infrastructure and the bathrooms and restrooms that we have. I mean, and then you get into that, do we renovate the cafeteria, make it bigger, and the library, and then the gym? Or are we building a brand-new school?
Will the annex with the Boys and Girls Club, will that be self-contained with its own cafeteria?
No.
No, so we will be relying on the cafeteria from North.
Well, I don't know the rules on pre-K and what the building has to be.
There's a lot.
With the littles, it's pretty robust. I mean,
The thinking with the pre-K, with the Boys and Girls Club annex would be that, no, you would have a cafeteria. That building would have like a big, like commons, like a general purpose area that could be used for a large group of children, and then it would have several classrooms and of course bathrooms, and then we're envisioning putting some sort of kitchen in there, but it wouldn't be like an industrial cafeteria size kitchen. It would be more for like snacks or, Boys and Girls Club needs or pre-K needs.
I think you have to have that,
Yeah.
a kitchen.
and then Joey, to answer more, we have the ability to control our growth. We're in a very unique situation. That ability comes from our transfers.
Yeah.
So if we see a growth in the city proper, I guess the zone, then we can accommodate that growth with reducing our transfers.
Yeah. And I think we'll have to do that eventually, because as you know, we've got to keep our enrollment K through 6 under 1,000, or we'll lose that small school. We'll lose that small school stipend.
I'm just thinking about the future when it's probably not going to be us. And when it's out of our hands that it does go over 1,000. Do we build onto the schools we have, the 2 left that we can build onto? Or do we go to a 4th site somewhere else? Towards New Clinton, at the interstate.
New Clinton.
Or will that be a 4th school, Joey?
I don't know. I don't know. About ready?
Yeah, you think?
Well,
All right, well, any further questions, comments, discussions?
I think it's a great opportunity to invest in North Clinton Elementary School.
I think it is. I think it's an opportunity to have the ability to. In all of the discussion that we've had here tonight, there is so much uncertainty with the future. And, I mean, our job, or I feel my job is to do everything I can to plan for that future, even if that involves slightly over-planning for the future. But if you do have a plan, at least you have an opportunity. But if we don't have the plan in place, then that limits our opportunities down the road immensely. And so for me, it's more of, I don't know that we'll need it, but I don't know if my grandchildren will,
It's
or.
like Willow Run,
Yeah,
if Clinton High
it's-
School had that
All
property.
it takes is one more apartment complex, and we're there.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's coming to downtown.
Oh,
It's all-
did you want to say anything?
No, I'm fine either way. I mean, we've got a family that's wanting to purchase it, and if you all want to purchase it, then we're fine with that too. So.
Okay. All right. Well, hearing none, the table is open for a motion.
We have received and reviewed the best offer provided to the sellers and have consulted with our school board attorney. Therefore, I make a motion that we, as the Clinton City Board of Education, agree to pay $290,001 for the purchase of the 401 Beach Street with no inspection, appraisal, or finance contingency.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, since this is financial, we will need a roll call vote, please.
Okay, KK Meredith,
Yes.
Lori Wilson.
Yes.
Tim Bople.
Yes.
Merle Price.
Yes.
Joey Smith,
Yes.
Curtis Isbell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to reports and information.
Ready for director report?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you. Thank you so
Yes, ma'am.
much. We feel honored that your family thought to put that first right of refusal many years ago. And it took me about 30 seconds to realize how much North Clinton means to you and how much you mean to North Clinton Elementary just by Merle's response to you. And so we make a commitment as Clinton City Schools that we will honor your property and honor the history that has been there for you and your family, and just how much it means to us that you have been willing to share that with the North Clinton community and the kids of North Clinton Elementary School. So just know that we don't take that lightheartedly, that you have entrusted us with that piece of land. So we really greatly appreciate it. We appreciate you being here. I'm glad I got to meet you. A
Ms.
couple.
Johnson, I don't want to interrupt the agenda. Would we be able to put something up at the school about the family?
Like a plaque or something?
Oh,
on-
100%, absolutely,
If something were to be built on that property especially, it could be maybe named after, or,
I don't know
absolutely.
if we don't have to do anything about it now, I don't guess. but-
No, we will
Nice to have some
definitely.
Pictures
And-
of your mom and dad.
Absolutely.
put it on
And
the
if-
walking tour, Joey, with the
Absolutely.
Yeah.
family,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And even if we do a road that goes through there to, you know.
Be named
we-
after.
We can name the road after it as well. If we don't have time for a building or a need for a building now, we may need a little road or something. We can always name that road as well.
Yep.
So it doesn't have to be a building, because we may not get there for a while.
I like that.
But it could be a plaque or a road or anything
I think
like
that's
that.
that'd be
excellent,
great.
very well. Mhm, I love that.
Well, I'll make a motion that we do something
Okay.
and
What does
at some
she do?
point.
And she may have an idea.
I told Ms. Price I found the picture of my mother and my son and her doing the shovel when they
Aw.
bought the other.
Okay, we need to get a copy of that
Copy of
picture.
that, Yeah.
We definitely need a copy.
See how
Yes,
young I look.
we definitely want a picture of that. That would be, yes. But we will definitely honor this in some way. So we will definitely be in touch. Anything else before I start director report? Okay, kindergarten roundup was a huge success at all three schools. We are continuing to enroll students daily at central office, and so if you hear of anyone that says that they missed roundup, that is okay. You can send them our way at central office, and we'll take good care of them. The transfer period is now open for out-of-city residents. The transfer period will close on May 15th, and everybody after that point will be put on a waiting list until we see the whites of eyeballs in August. Transfer applications for those who may be watching can be picked up at central office or downloaded off of our district website. And then I know I sent you all this text yesterday, but I am so stinking proud of sweet Maya. And so Maya Armendariz is a sixth grade student at Clinton Elementary School, and she has been a part of our inaugural Blaze drone team with Kimberly Odell. And I even have to read this because I don't even know what it is. But she actually passed the Federal Aviation Administration's recreational UAS safety test. Scott Ray, can you say that 4 times, please?
Appropriately.
And so she is certified to fly in occupied and unoccupied airspace. And I had to go see her today and ask her what that meant. I said, tell me about this. I don't even know what those
She has
terms
to have queue
mean.
clearance or something.
Oh, she could tell me all about it, and she knew what that meant, her height of her like 450 feet, something. I mean, she knew her stuff. And I said, so tell me, I said, did you study a lot? Because this is a difficult test. And I said, did you study like books for this test and do this on your own? And she said, no, not really. Miss Odell taught me everything I needed to
She's
know.
the best teacher.
She
She's
is.
so good.
So, anyway, without said, I was a little tickled just because we're trying to get more females into STEM. So my little heart was happy that it was a female. But she is going to go places. And so we're super excited about that. And there will be more to follow for sure. But the Blaze Drone Club is going to host an end of the season showcase at South Clinton Elementary on Monday, April 29th from 4:30 to 5:30. And it is my understanding that all the obstacle courses, the obstacle things will be blown up, and they'll have on their virtual reality glasses, and they'll be flying their drones. And so I can't wait. You all are welcome to come and see that if you're available. Then I want to give you just an update because we have lots of capital projects going on right now. Scott Ray and Sean's head is spinning. But I wanted to update you on the Clinton Elementary School playground. We are finalizing the exact play structure pieces that are going to be on because we are building the playground on asphalt. We have to do something called a steel plate mounting, and so that kind of limits us. Are you proud of me? I love it when I talk and I know what I'm talking about, but Scott had to teach me what that is. That kind of limits, there's only certain pieces of equipment that can be that, and so we are collaborating with the Miracle consultant to see which one of those we'll actually be able to use and finalize those. But we kind of had an idea in our head of what we were going to do, but then we took that, and then Clinton Elementary teachers and some of our parents with students with disabilities weighed in and have given additional suggestions and input. So we've taken that input and we're running with it. So when that comes to fruition, as we are building that, we are also going to address the front and create an ADA compliant ramp to where if they park at central office, that one ramp, we have several students in wheelchairs that have to go up and down that ramp to get into the building every day. So we're going to go ahead and get that ADA compliant and give them a good ramp to get into the front of the school. So those two projects will kind of happen around the same time. They will not be done if you want to skip down to the CES parking lot expansion. Most of the excavating is complete on that. If you drive by, you can see where the city of Clinton has been working. That has to get done and asphalted before we begin the playground, just because we have to be able to absorb the loss of parking spaces. But those are in the works. Update on the auditorium. Probably, just to be completely honest, with the purchase of this property, the auditorium is going to be done in phases. We probably will not do that in one lump sum to try to spread the cost over at least 2 years. So we're going to try to address the auditorium ceiling project first. And so that RFP is written and it will be advertised next week. And so we will get moving on that and hopefully get the ceiling project done this summer. And then, of course, we'll move towards the painting and the sound panels and the lighting next, and then we'll replace the bleachers, not the bleachers, the chairs. The chairs last. But we are working on that. Second grade TCAP testing is going to begin next Tuesday, and then third grade will start on Thursday, and the kids are super pumped about that, let me tell you. And then I wanted to let you know that our enrollment ticked back up for summer learning camps this year. We're back up to 160 students enrolled in our summer learning camp, which will be from June the 3rd to the 28th. And then once again, we are participating in Junior Achievement BizTown Camp. It is at capacity with 75 kids and a waiting list. That will be the week of Memorial Day, which is May 28th through 31st. So lots of good things happening. And honestly, between now and the end of the year, it is just going to be a whirlwind of testing, field trips, graduation, and all kinds of fun things. One more update that did not make the director's report, but the RFP for the cafeteria vendor service is actively out. And Scott, when is the proposal? You may not have it in your head. I've caught you off guard.
The 2 weeks from now, they have to do site visits. Give them a week to do that. After that, I think it's first or second week in May. We have some good wiggle room. It's not like, oh dear, we're gonna come down to the wire, so.
But we have had several vendors that have said
Yes.
intent to apply. Now, whether they actually turn in a proposal or not remains to be seen, but they've at least expressed interest and are asking Scott lots of good questions. So that's moving. We'll have an answer soon.
Is the timing for that such that it would be in place by the next school year?
Yes. Yes.
Constituents have asked if that were the case.
Yes.
so.
Tell your constituents it will be in place by August. Any other questions for me? Okay, that concludes my report.
All right, well, you do have our evaluations for Ms. Kelly in your packet with you here tonight. Be working on those and getting those back to Molly.
Hug Molly big for continuing to do it for us.
Any further questions or comments?
I do have
Yes,
something,
sir.
if you don't care.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about it before, but I wanted to make sure everybody got down to the Clinton Public Library to take a look at the little park remodel that we've worked on for about a year. 100% driven by kids, from elementary, from our kids at South, our kids at Clinton also that provided art, Clinton Middle School students and Clinton High students. The entire thing was kid-driven. So I think I can't talk enough about what an amazing thing that was. It may not look very big or look like much to somebody from outside of our community, but it's remarkable that children were responsible for a nearly $20,000 infusion into the community. And it's a reality now, about a year later. And a lot of kids were there that day for the unveiling, ribbon cutting, and I hope they were proud because it was pretty cool.
It's
Avery
awesome.
was part of that class, and she went up to the turtle, and she goes, I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll know that forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't leave her mark. That's
So go down and
awesome.
take a look at him if you haven't already.
The pictures were great.
It's
Yes.
beautiful. It really is good. And your artwork was really impressive, too.
I want him to turn it into a hardback book, though.
Mm-hmm.
I said he really needs to, you need to get it colored in a hardback book, because I want that book in each one of our libraries, because it has such good historical.
I have a couple of friends who
Information.
had books published I could put you in contact with to see how to go about that.
We'll see what we can do.
All right, anything further? All right, hearing nothing, I'll declare this meeting adjourned.
He turns it off.
Up and down that ramp to get it.